following is an exclusive presentation of Ravens Productions.
Coming up on this week's edition of Ravens Report, the Ravens are ready to kick off the 2020 season with all eyes on the Super Bowl. We look back at a wild offseason and preview this week's game against the Browns with tight end Mark Andrews. All of that and more on this week's Ravens Report.
15-10-5, touchdown Ravens! They are dancing in the aisles. Oh, what a scene we have at M&T.
Family on 3, 1, 2, 3. Bam.
Welcome to another season of Ravens Report. From the Under Armour Performance Center, I'm Garrett Downing. It's a new year, and I'm fired up to be your new host of this season of Report. Now, after an offseason with so much uncertainty due to COVID-19, the Ravens are about to kick off their 25th season, starting this Sunday against the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Ravens had a ton of breakout stars on last year's team, and with so much young talent, they're set up to compete with the top teams in the NFL for years to come. Now, one of those breakout players was tight end Mark Andrews. He led the Ravens with 10 touchdown catches and proved to be one of Lamar Jackson's most trusted receivers. Now, this offseason's trade of Hayden Hurst should provide Mark and fellow tight end Nick Boyle a chance to make even more plays this year. And ahead of Sunday's game against the Browns, Mark sat down with our Evan Washburn.
He's got Andrews, and he'll run in for the touchdown. Complete to his tight end Mark Andrews. Caught! Touchdown, Mark Andrews! Touchdown, Ravens!
Well, Mark, thanks for joining us on our maiden voyage of Ravens Report 2020. We'd love to be in the same room with you, but the guys, I think, did a nice job at least making it look like we're in the same room together. But at least for the foreseeable future, this is how we're going to do it. You good with that?
I'm good with it. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate that.
And look, it's been said so many times over the last few months that it's an unprecedented offseason. It will be a season unlike any we've seen. But how would you best describe the build-up here to Week 1?
You know, I think this training camp was definitely different for us, and the team did a great job of getting all our guys going. And this is a hungry team. This is a team that hasn't forgot, you know, what's happened the last 2 years, and so we got a lot to prove. You know, we have number 8 back there, and you know, the best player in the world, and we got a lot of talent coming back. So there's a lot of hungriness going on, and there's a lot of guys that want to get out there and prove themselves. So. I'm excited for this year. It's going to be a unique year, different from the years past, and we're just going to be flying around having fun out there.
Is there a sense of anxiousness? Is it more excitement? Having not even faced anyone of a different uniform, even though preseason for vets can be limited, about what awaits you on Sunday?
I think there's this feeling of, you know, dang, I'm ready to go against, you know, another person other than our teammates, you know. So we've been going against each other for so long, and we got a lot of work in. We definitely got our work in, and guys know their plays, and you know, even the young guys have moved along really fast. So I know the guys are ready to start playing another team rather than ourselves.
You mentioned those young guys. One of the fun aspects and big storylines, really, of training camp is how will they, one, make that leap from year 1 to year 2 when you talk about guys like Marquise and Miles, but Devin Duvernay, James Prochet, what they showed, how they popped on tape when we were able to watch them. How do you think this passing game, outside of the tight end group, will be different here this season?
You know, those guys are obviously a young talented group, and all those guys got to be make a big impact for us to be where we want to be. And then you got a guy like Willie, who honestly had an incredible camp and is really playing his best ball. So we got a lot of guys that Lamar can throw to. We've been repping the pass game a ton, and I think we feel really, really confident in it.
Ton of excitement on the outside, Mark, for what awaits on Sunday, but you're going to have to play a game without fans. And I know this isn't the first time you've thought about it. It's been a topic for the last few months. But as you prepare for what that atmosphere is going to be like with artificial crowd noise at times and no Ravens flock to get you guys up in those big moments, where do you think it'll have its greatest effect?
You know, when you think about you not having fans and that energy that it brings, and especially in Baltimore, we have an incredible fan base, and for me, it's the best in the NFL. So we feed off that. So as a group and as a team, we're going to have to bring that ourselves and rely on your teammates to pick you up, get you going, and get things right. So I know it's going to be kind of all in-house this year, but we're going to rely on each other to make sure things are right and the energy's good, and I think we're ready for it.
The Browns, just one of 2 teams last year, Mark, that were able to give you guys an L during the regular season. I don't think there needs to be extra motivation because it's a new year and you guys are juiced and ready to go. But as you start to look at this opponent that does look very familiar to the one that gave you a loss last season, what has most of your attention?
You know, it's always going to be a dogfight. You know, these divisional games are tough. You know, this is one of the hardest divisions to play in. All of them are dogfights, so you got to be ready. This is the NFL. You got to bring it. And it's about, you know, teaching these young guys that, you know, there's no games off here. We're excited for it, and we're going to be ready to compete and play.
Any texting with your old buddy Baker there?
Yeah, I've talked to him a little bit about a week ago, but nothing serious, just playful. It's one of my buddies, so hopefully we get the dub on Sunday.
And Mark, as best you can, take us into those meeting rooms, into the locker room, and to what it will mean to finally be back out on the field to take on the Browns on Sunday.
There's so much, you know, build up to, you know, are we going to have a season? Are we not going to have a season? And then what's training camp going to look like? And we didn't get to have spring ball. So, you know, again, show what we can do. So, you know, finally being able to have it be game week and being able to play Sunday against a different group, you know, the juices are going to be flowing, man. We're excited for sure.
Well, Mark, we appreciate the time. Again, I can't wait till we're back in the same room together to catch up, but best of luck Sunday and the rest of the year.
Thank you, Evan. I appreciate you.
Outperforming last year's offensive numbers will be a difficult task for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson and company led the NFL in points and rushing yards, setting league and franchise records along the way. Still to come on Ravens Report, during an offseason like no other, the Ravens kept their eyes focused on winning another Super Bowl. Ravens Wire takes us behind the scenes coming up next. Welcome back to Ravens Report, presented by MedStar Health. I'm Garrett Downing. The Ravens have extremely high expectations after last year's 14-2 season. They had the league's top offense, led by the MVP, Lamar Jackson. But to reach the playoffs and have another shot at the Vince Lombardi Trophy, the Ravens had to improve during an offseason and training camp unlike any Coach Harbaugh and any of us had ever experienced. Ravens Wired takes us behind the scenes as the Ravens prepared for the 2020 season.
Even in unprecedented times, the goal does not change. Now, how you try to accomplish it? Oh, that's changed. Since March, the Ravens have continued their pursuit of another Vince Lombardi Trophy. But like the rest of the world, things are much different than before. At times, the prospect of training camps opening on schedule seemed hard to imagine. But when the Ravens returned to Owings Mills in late July, everyone was ready for a taste of normalcy. And after months of speculation, football was given the green light.
Woo, we back. Welcome to Inside Training Camp, Ravens Edition.
This is the dream, right? Let's go. Everybody want to be great until it's time to put the work in.
Let's go, O. Everybody do their job now.
And the guy who did his job better than any other player in the NFL last season? Unanimous MVP Lamar Jackson. Despite leading the Ravens to a franchise-best 14-2 record, last season again ended in disappointment. Now Lamar and the Ravens are here for one thing.
The Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. I was winning the Super Bowls.
Cut.
Appreciate that, brother. On the out, when you broke out on him, he pulled you. That's why I ain't throw it yet, you feel me?
I know.
'Cause I thought he was gonna try to undercut it.
I know. Yeah.
And then he stayed behind you, then I threw it.
I figured that's what you were saying.
Yeah, they like, I don't know why that's not a flag. Hey, that was a touchdown? That was a touchdown, ain't it? Hey, they were dead though. I see them running full speed. Hey, they running full speed up there. I said, oh yeah, y'all dead.
What the Ravens accomplished last year won't help them this year. All eyes are focused on the 2020 season. One of the keys to helping Lamar and the Ravens win a Super Bowl is second-year receiver Hollywood Brown. And Hollywood's looking a little different this year.
Lock in. You're not locked in, son.
Not a lot there.
Just looking at him, man, he looks like a totally different kid from I saw last year. Super excited to see what he can do.
The world now knows Lamar Jackson is first and foremost a quarterback. But don't get it twisted. He is going to run. When he does, the defense is in trouble.
Boy, Lamar, boy, you fast as hell. I was getting out of that pop, and you just took off straight ahead. And long man was out, I'm gonna get somebody. You had different gear. And I didn't got Vic before, on, you know, I mean, he had to make a cut, and I was going full speed. I ain't caught Vic before now. I was a little younger, but.
I ain't gonna lie, I gotta start. I'm gonna break a lot of long ones this year.
After 5 weeks in Owings Mills, John Harbaugh decided a change of scenery would help his young team. The site? The friendly confines of M&T Bank Stadium.
Have a good day, Brody. Let's go, mate. Hey, Lamar, think about this, bro. If you throw picks now, you won't throw them in the season. You know what I mean? Yeah, think about that. You're 2020 Baltimore Ravens. Woo!
Let's go, boys. Have a good drive.
Oh! I got scared, bro. Wow. I thought you was about to hit me, bro.
Yeah, that's why I stayed down.
I honestly got scared, Coach. It's bad ball. Shot, Coach.
Yeah, it's fun. We need it.
Yeah.
We need it. We need the setting. We need to go through that process big time.
Get the kinks out.
Yeah, we will. We will.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Family on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Family.
With no fans in attendance for at least the start of the 2020 season, Sunday's game against Cleveland will have a unique feel to it. The Ravens hope that their preparation and practicing at M&T Bank Stadium several times during training camp will help them as they begin the 2020 campaign. Coming up next on Ravens Report, the season starts with a classic AFC North showdown. Coach Harbaugh sits down and previews Sunday's game against the Browns.
Who will deliver in tomorrow's game? Go to budlight.com/delivery to have your game day Bud Lights delivered right to your door.
Welcome back to Ravens Report presented by MedStar Health. I'm Garrett Downing. The AFC North is always one of the best divisions in football, and this year should be no different. Ben Roethlisberger, he's back in Pittsburgh. Joe Burrow, the #1 overall pick, is now in Cincinnati. And of course, Cleveland has one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. Slowing down Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham Jr., and Nick Chubb is going to be a tough task this week. Now, as we know, every game is important, but divisional games carry some extra weight, especially if John Harbaugh's Ravens are going to win the division for the 3rd straight season. Now, earlier this week, I had a chance to sit down with the head coach to discuss the 2020 season. Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining us here today. It's week 1. There's always excitement around the season opener, but I think maybe even more so this year because there was questions about whether we'd get to this point and we'd have this excitement around opening weekend. Could you describe your eagerness to go out there and have a game on Sunday?
Boy, I tell you, it really is. It's hard to describe it. It's hard to put it into words. I mean, we were really fired up, and it's such a different year because we're so used to a certain rhythm, and now the rhythm has been completely different. Some of our guys described it as Groundhog Day, but I put it in positive terms. You know, they were out there fighting every single day, but it's time for the payoff. It's time to go play some football, and not just for us, but really for the country. You know, everybody's going to get a chance to watch some football and kind of get back to life somewhat normally, and I know football fans are excited about it, and we definitely are, Garrett.
One of the big changes this year, obviously, is no preseason. No preseason means no tape. No tape means uncertainty around everyone. You don't know exactly what the Browns are going to do. The Browns don't know exactly what you're going to do. As a coaching staff, as you're building a game plan, what is the challenge when there is so much uncertainty, especially for them, because this is a new coaching staff and you're having to kind of play a little bit of a guessing game to determine what that's going to look like?
Right. I think what you do is you make your best guess. I mean, we're experienced coaches, and we understand the coaches we're going against and stuff like that. So it's an educated type of an approach. We're going to hit on most everything, but in the end, you got to focus on what you do. You know, what you do well. I mean, if you're going into you say you're a concert pianist, you know, and you're going into a new venue with a new piano, you know, you can't over worry about the newness of the situation. You have to do what you do well and do it well. So that's what we plan on doing, focusing on ourselves more than ever before, and then trying to adapt as the game goes on to what our opponent's given us. But in the end, it's up to us how we play, fundamentals, execution, physicality, speed, effort. Those are the things, in the end, that always win football games.
Coach, there's always so much focus around your quarterback, Lamar Jackson, and that's to be understood. He's won the MVP last year. He's on the cover of Madden, and he's one of the most exciting young players in the NFL today. But the thing that stands out to me is that he's unaffected by all of that. I mean, this is a guy who's been in the spotlight since he's been 19, 20 years old. How would you describe his approach this offseason? I
would say determined. Lamar's very determined, and it's shown up in the way he's worked. He understands what's important, and I don't think he gets caught up in those things that you're talking about. Probably because he's always been exposed to those things his whole career. It's hard for you or me to understand that because we weren't that kind of an athlete at such a young age. But I just admire his maturity, and I admire his work ethic and his determination to be the best that he can be. And that's what you see every day, and that's why the players, really love him so much. Yeah, you can see guys really rally around him, which is awesome. And Coach, I'll finish up with this one. I'm eager to see some of these new guys: Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, Patrick Queen. This is going to be the first time for Ravens fans to see them on the field in action. What can we expect? Well, I think you're going to expect effort. They're going to play with great effort. I see it every day in practice, and they're going to play physical football, Ravens football, type of football that Ravens fans are used to looking at, and then we'll just let the chips fly from there and see what happens. But they're fired up to go play, and I'm looking forward to seeing them play, too, for the first time. So it should be great all the way around and very interesting. Awesome, Coach. Well, we can't wait for Sunday. Thank you so much for the time, and good luck this weekend. Thanks, Garrett. John Harbaugh is 20-4 against Cleveland, and let's hope his success continues on Sunday here in Baltimore. Coming up next on Ravens Report, former Ravens head coach Brian Billick breaks down film of Lamar Jackson in this Ravens offense.
Brian Billick's Breakdown is powered by Microsoft, the official tablet of the Baltimore Ravens.
Welcome back to Ravens Report from the Under Armour Performance Center. I'm Garrett Downing. This season, we're thrilled to have former Ravens head coach Brian Billick join us on Skype to break down film every week. Now, we've talked about how dynamic the Ravens offense was last season, but how do they evolve as the defenses adjust? Coach Billick breaks down the tape of Lamar Jackson, the areas he can improve, and how the defenses in this league will adjust to try to slow down Lamar and this high-powered Ravens offense.
Well, to begin with, let's remember that with Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, we are talking about the reigning MVP, and we're talking about a team that went 14-2. So there's not a whole lot that you're going to want to have to change. Certainly there are areas that I'm sure Coach Harbaugh and Coach Roman are focusing on. But if they could have made some kind of deal with the devil, so to speak, to say, let's just repeat exactly what Lamar did last year, they'll take that in a New York second. You begin, obviously, with the rushing. When you have over 1,200 yards rushing on 176 attempts, I mean, that's as good as any running back in the National Football League in terms of the productivity. And it's not like, well, they did that at the cost of the passing game. He had 36, passing touchdowns. So, life's still pretty good. If you want to nitpick a little bit, there's a couple areas. It's much been talked about that throwing from the numbers outside, that's where some of the inefficiencies were, some of the turnovers. And they were 18th in the league in terms of generating the big pass down the field. So I imagine Coach Roman, if he could manufacture and focus on maybe getting the ball a little more vertical down the field, and defenses are going to test him in terms of making him throw from the numbers to the outside. So I'm sure that has been a focus for them as they've gone down the way. But they're all in with the 176 rushing attempts to Lamar Jackson. In a perfect world, they might want to, if they could dial that back and maybe take 50 of those runs and make them 50 more passes. He attempted just at 400 attempts. There were 440 on the year, but that included, in game 16 when Lamar didn't play. So if you take those numbers and he threw the ball, or the team threw the ball 50 times more, now he's at that 500 attempt level. And even with backing off the 50 runs, they're still going to lead the league in rushing and in terms of attempts and yards. So it's going to be tested early, obviously, with Cleveland. I think defensively, some people will look at it and say, well, let's do what Tennessee did. Well, he still was pretty productive, Lamar was, in that game. The key, let's go back to the first time that Cleveland came into Baltimore last year and won. Well, why did they do that? Because they ran the ball so effectively, which was a bit of surprise, as was the case against Tennessee. So if there's a game plan for Cleveland, it's going to be, we want to kind of spread this out. Don't let Lamar have the big plays down the field. Force him to make more of those throws from the numbers out. And that's going to be the formula for Cleveland, trying to, rein in. I think Lamar has reached that Jordan-esque air of you're not going to stop and you just hope to contain him.
Lamar Jackson looking end zone again. Sneed's got it. 6 more for the Ravens.
So much has been made about the mechanics of Lamar Jackson. Well, if this is the result, I think a lot of kids who are watching this game adopt his mechanics.
It'll be fun to watch how defenses react to Lamar Jackson's MVP season and also find out what new wrinkles Lamar and these offensive coaches have in store for this year. Now, on this week's show, we've talked a lot about the Ravens offense, but I'll tell you what, this defense should also be in the conversation to be one of the best units in the NFL. Just go back to last year. Baltimore allowed the NFL's 3rd fewest points and the 4th fewest yards per game. Now you add a Pro Bowler, defensive end Calais Campbell, plus Derek Wolfe. That's going to help shore up the run defense, which will be much needed this week against Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and a really talented Browns offense. Now that's it for this week's show. Thank you so much for watching. And as we head into the season opener, be sure to check out Ravens pregame live Sunday starting at 12 p.m. right before kickoff. We'll be taking you live to the field for pregame warmups and telling you everything you need to know about the game. You can watch it on the Ravens website, our mobile app, our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our CTV apps. Also, be sure to check out the Ravens Virtual Game Center. You'll even have a chance to virtually rub Johnny Unitas' cleat, just like you do as you make your way into the stadium on game day. So that's it for us. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week on Ravens Report.